TRC for all the hard work that you did, and as well as Weimar and the staff here at the National Reconciliation Center. We want to give them, let's give them a big round of applause for this big day. With that, I say miigwech. Good time.
Thanks so much for coming today. I should, of course, begin by acknowledging all of you in the room. And this room is filled with an incredible diversity and array of people that have worked so hard to make this day a reality. So it's to the elders, to the survivors in the room, to the intergenerational survivors, to those executives at the university and staff here, members of the all parties, the honorary witnesses, elected officials, commissioners of the TRC, partners from our various partner organizations across the country, honored guests, friends and family. Welcome to the official opening ceremonies of the National Center for Truth and Reconciliation.
This university has long had a relationship with Indigenous people, and with an apology from the university to survivors and their families 4 years ago, the university took a step to deepen that relationship with Indigenous communities. We committed at the time to work with the Truth and Reconciliation Commission of Canada in advancing meaningful reconciliation for all Canadians. Our proposal to the TRC to host the National Research Centre outlined our commitment to survivors and to raising awareness of the impact of residential schools. With deep humility, we welcome news that the University of Manitoba had been selected as the home of the National Centre for Truth and Reconciliation, which we acknowledged in a moving signing ceremony not far from this space on National Aboriginal Day, June 21st, 2013. The University of Manitoba and the National Centre for Truth and Reconciliation are committed to an ongoing process of building a shared, just experience of living together. We're committed to reconciliation. Miigwech, Kananas Kamatanawa. Marcy, thank you.
As I was traveling here this morning and contemplating what to say to you, I reflected that there have been many moments throughout the course of the work that we have undertaken, this grand experience that we have had as commissioners for the Truth and Reconciliation Commission, working with survivors, when I have been struck at the significance and the magnitude of the work that we have undertaken and that we have completed. I think of the opening day of the Winnipeg National event when we had such a large gathering of people, when 40,000 people from in and around Winnipeg and Manitoba attended in order to listen to what it was that survivors had to say, when there were so many doubters who thought that this process was ever going to get off the ground. I reflect upon the emotion of those many moments when listening to survivors speak, when they would thank us for doing nothing more than listening to them and believing in them. I think of the beauty of the many acts of reconciliation that we bore witness to in the course of our events, when fathers and daughters were finally able to hug after the daughters had heard what their fathers had to say about their experience, because for the first time in their lives, those daughters understood why their father was the way that he was. And I think as well of the many gestures of forgiveness that we have borne witness to during the course of the last 6.5 years, when so many survivors, despite the terrible difficulties that they have experienced, have stood up and indicated that in order for them to move on, they had to put their anger down and indicate their willingness to forgive so that they can come to terms with the past in a proper way. And I think of the many statements of defiance that survivors still utter today, and many acts of bravery that they still exhibit merely by staying alive and taking care of their families and their communities. This center that has been established, in which we have had the great fortune to assist in creating, is doing for Canada what parents do for their children in many respects, and that is to help it to answer 4 very important questions. I was reflecting on this earlier today as well, that just as with the person growing up, this country is in the midst of growing as well. It is in the midst of changing its own sense of identity of itself because of this experience that we have brought forward for it to participate in. Just as every young person asks to answer the question of where do I come from, this country is now answering for itself, at least partially, the question of where has this country come from? Where has this country come through? What is it that this country has done? Because now that we know a little bit more about that, as a country we have a better sense of ourselves. We have a better sense not only of what it is that has gone on in the past, but we also have a better sense of where it is that we are going. Because we now know that we are carrying the legacy of that past with us, and that we must never forget. That is one of the great responsibilities for the National Centre for Truth and Reconciliation, to ensure that Canada never forgets about what it is that it once did to its most vulnerable, at a time when they were reaching out with a hand of friendship to try to form a better relationship and in partnership.
I've heard our chair say very eloquently on more than one occasion that what we have done with the Truth and Reconciliation Commission is we have revealed the mountain, and that it is now up to all of us to climb it together. And I think that so much work has been done by the survivors, but we have also tried to gather together those people who will do the climbing with us. There's a reason why they say don't go mountain climbing alone. It's dangerous, it's treacherous, it's frightening, and it's all uphill. At least that's how it seems. But there are extraordinary vistas along the way, and so we have gathered together many honorary witnesses, many of whom are here today, some on the stage with us as well, who have committed to the long term of doing that ongoing work of teaching and of inspiring reconciliation.
You know, when we started on this 25 years ago and beyond, even beyond that, my words hurt so many people. My actions pain so many, and unfairly so, and I want to express my apologies to the people that were kind to me when I was growing up. I went to 2 residential schools. I only spent 10 years, and I encountered very committed, outstanding, generous people in the 2 schools that I attended. And the harshness that I expressed, the very hard words, and the terrible, terrible, terrible anger that I felt, unfortunately tarred everyone with the same brush. People in church people, in the Fort Alexander Indian Residential School in Assiniboia. There were so many good people there. People that were committed, that were generous, that felt really totally and completely responsible for us. And they were hurt by my actions. And they didn't deserve that, and not in any way. So I reach out to them here this afternoon and say I'm sorry to them as well. And you wouldn't believe, you know, you see me as a soft-spoken guy. I think you do. And I'm a pretty gentle guy. And, but I wasn't always. I was just so incredibly angry, incredibly bitter, and I harbored hatred in my my heart, and mostly directed to non-Indigenous people. And here I am today, trying to make good for all of that, and I know that these are just words, and they may not convey what needs to be expressed, like from my heart, my deepest and most sincere apologies to those good people. And then I want to thank Dr. Bernard, David Bernard. He's a good man, decent human being, big-hearted, most incredibly generous person. And the apology in Halifax was just so important to us. So I thank you, Dr. Bernard. Of course, I would be remiss if I didn't thank Justice Sinclair, Dr. Wilson, and Chief Littlechild that are not here. You're absolutely tremendous. Just the most committed, outstanding people. They did us proud, all of us. They did Canada proud. So I thank you, Justice Sinclair. My last words, and you've heard that from a politician before, I know, and they go on for another hour, but not today. So the truth be known, right? It's important. And we too easily sometimes want to heap praise on one person, right? One individual as being the one that. And this, as I said, was never about one person. I learned from my brothers and sisters in British Columbia when they talked about what they had experienced and what that experience did to them. I learned from Cashel. I learned from reading about South Africa. And, so it wasn't something that we devised here on our own in isolation. It was, you know, when we talk about a collective experience, that's what it was. But it was our moment in time, and we made it pay off.